That saves everybody from asking this question, the obvious question. How's JJ? How's JJ? Too early to tell. Had some tests done yesterday and just waiting on results of that. So don't really have much for you on that note. Gonna take it day by day. It's the best way to live anyhow, so why wouldn't we do it that way?
I can't tell if anyone's using the hand emoji. So, oh, there we go. Griffin, would you like to ask a question?
Yeah, building off of that, Coach Mazey, are you able to comment on whether or not it's the same hamstring that he dealt with an injury to over the summer?
I don't know if I'm allowed to comment on that or not. So in the interest of safety, I'd better not.
And building off of that, is there any, sort of discrepancy between your USA baseball, stuff like the Cape Cod Summer League, where, collegiate coaches don't have direct control over injury and rehab? How do you balance the communication between your players when they're playing for other teams over the summer?
I mean, you can't avoid things that happen to him. He pulls a hamstring playing in the Cape this summer. He could have just as easily pulled his hamstring falling out of a bass boat on a Sunday morning. So some injuries you just can't avoid. You try and be careful with pitchers when you send them off in the summertime and monitoring pitch counts and stuff like that. But injuries are a part of our game and they always will be. And some of them, there's no way to avoid them. But it's nobody's fault. It's just one of those things.
Justin, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Good morning. In terms of the next step, I'm assuming I know Brody kind of stepped in there at shortstop. Is that still kind of the plan, or do you kind of have to tinker here a little bit?
No, that'll probably be the plan. Ironically, the first pitch after JJ got hurt was a ground ball to the shortstop, and he made a nice play, made several nice plays on the weekend. So very comfortable with him there.
And then obviously, through the Stetson series, the infield kind of got shifted around this year. JJ going to short, Ellis going to second, and so some new guys in new places, really outside of Grant, I guess. No errors, except one from the pitcher, I guess. But the way the infield is kind of shifted around this year, your thoughts on how they performed over the first 4 games?
Yeah, that's my rule of never be afraid to overstate the obvious. We went down there and after saying what you said and losing JJ in the middle of the game, to go down there and not make any errors is probably the best defensive opening weekend we've ever had, because we went down there. It's the first time our guys walked off the bus and they were giddy that they could smell grass and feel dirt. These kids are baseball players, so to play error free like that for the first 4 games is one thing, but to do it on grass and dirt on a field that we haven't been on in such a long time was pretty impressive.
No one has their hands raised, but if anybody wants to jump in with a question, I'm sure we have more. Kevin, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Good morning.
Morning.
Middle relief pitching. Always, I think one of the biggest searches, once you get past the starters, you had kind of some up and down results. Is this weekend step 2 in the process? Some different guys get some looks, or is it more dependent on the team that you're facing and what they have?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a moving target too. We still have about 3 guys out with injury that we're expecting to get back at some point on the mound, and it's going to be a game of shuffling the cards here for every weekend probably until we settle on a rotation and relievers and that type of thing. It's going to be a lot of smoke and mirrors and that type of thing until we get everybody back and healthy and see where we're at when that occurs.
And then the injuries. I know the couple guys you have out for the year. Is Porco, one of those. Who are the other guys you're kind of waiting on?
Derek Clark, probably going to be one of our weekend starters, got hurt in an inter-squad game the weekend before we started. And that was made a significant impact on our pitching this past weekend. We were counting on him, getting about 6 innings out of him if we could. So, and he won't be available probably this weekend or next weekend. So, he's a major component, as is Porco. So, we'll see what happens when and if those guys get back.
But those guys are not out for the year.
As I sit here right now,
Yeah, as you hope.
correct.
Gotcha.
Anybody else have questions? Want to jump in? Michael, you can go ahead.
Hey, Randy, how's it going?
Good. How's it going?
Great, thank you. I have a question. You've mentioned how at the start of the season, the first however many games are kind of experimentation. Is that okay with players? Because it's a sport, they're competitive, especially at the start of the year. They want to be good right away and make good in all their practice and preparation. And I don't know, it just sounds like inherently it could be difficult to be consistent at the start. How do they handle that? How do you handle that?
Well, it's some guys get excited about it because if we didn't do it that way, they wouldn't get to play at all. And other guys, wish they were in there every day. They're all competitive kids and they all want to play all the time, but they know going into it, they've heard me say it before, and we've talked about it, that these first 20 games, we're trying to establish some roles on this team. And we did that. We had some guys just came in and played defense at the end of some games. We had some guys that just came in and pinch ran in some of the games. We had some guys that came off the bench and pinch hit. We had some spot starters at DH. So everybody knows that most guys are going to get their chance the first 20 games, and that keeps them engaged at practice and makes everything a little more competitive when they're trying to, they're trying as hard as they can to get in there. So that seemed to work for us. The best thing about this weekend was, everybody freaks out when you don't win all your games, but that's a typical weekend for us. We went down there, and what we needed to have happen was we needed to get in some dog fights to see how guys are going to respond to the dog fights that occur later in the year. And to say those were 4 dog fights is an understatement. I think all 4 of the games came down to the last at bat of the day. So that's what we needed to have happen. See who's going to step up in those situations and who isn't. And we're pleasantly surprised by how some guys reacted in those moments.
Justin, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Coach, you just kind of answered my question. Like you said, all 4 games, one game goes to 11 innings. Moving forward, Charlotte is a team that made it to the NCAAs last year. What do you kind of want to see moving forward? Stetson, you guys showed a little bit of pop, got some power from some guys. To continue to see that fight, what jumped out to you, and what do you want to see this weekend?
Same thing, just a continuation of this past weekend and create more moments where guys need to perform with a game on the line, because it's playing the Big 12. Almost every game comes down to the last inning. So it's really nice to see who can hit better when there's guys on base versus, when the score's out of hand and there's nobody on base, and who really enjoys being in those moments. And we had a lot of them this past weekend. So, yeah, just another continuation of that. It's it's nice to win along the way, but I think at this juncture of the season, it's more important to learn things about your team than it is to win all the games. You know, we started out 0-2 last season, and by the time April rolled around, nobody cared about starting the season 0-2. But same thing happened. You know, we went down to Georgia Southern last year and played some close games and learned a lot about kids, and that's very useful information once we get into the middle of the season.
Does anyone else have any other questions? You can jump in. If not, okay, Michael, you can go ahead.
Yep, just kind of picking up on that. You had some players that are new to the team from the portal or new to Division I, even new starters. Just I don't know, highlights or people or things that got your attention that was new that are no longer new.
Ben Lumsden had a really good weekend. Got some results, but better than the results, he was just calm and collected and never got rattled, never got sped up, which was really encouraging to see. He's got great feel for the game. Played infield last year at his previous school, and we've been playing him in the outfield and played really good in the outfield and hit a couple of big homers for us. So he was definitely a bright spot. Brody Kresser had a pretty good weekend. He's been jumping back and forth from infield to outfield, and he actually hit in the leadoff spot on Monday ahead of JJ. So that's something we had been looking at. So yeah, those two guys were really encouraging. And some guys on the mound did their thing. Aiden Major pitched really well on Friday. Tyler Swatolski pitched pretty well on Saturday. So a lot of encouraging things came out of it. You know, we never start swinging the bats as good as we can until, you know, we get to the halfway point. So in the meantime, you just try and find ways to win games and survive. And if people think we're going to go just out slug somebody opening weekend after not playing near as many inter squads as we could have, then that never happens. I don't ever remember a time where we just opened the season smashing the baseball. So until that time comes, you just got to try and find ways to win, and we did that. We had to be a little bit creative on offense and do some crazy things to score some runs, and fortunately those things worked out.
Kevin, you can go ahead.
And following up on that, you know, you all mentioned kind of been a continuing theme in the preseason that weren't going to be as fast, might not be able to be as aggressive on the bases, but you get to that point that I'm assuming you're referring to 3 consecutive bunts, going back to, you know, something that's obviously been successful for you. Was that just a result of, hey, we got to try something we're familiar with, or you had the right guys in that situation to try that? And, you know, when that point in the game came up?
Yeah, it sure makes it look like I was full of crap in all my preseason interviews. But no, that's I don't know another team in the country with the game on the line could have their 4-hole guy, 5-hole guy, and 6-hole guy. They'll bunt to win a game. That's just a testament to the kids in the program and how we teach it and what we're capable of doing. So, and that'll help us moving forward, because now everybody on our schedule knows that those 3 guys are capable of doing that. So that opens things up for them to get more hits when they're not bunting too. So yeah, that was pretty impressive. Like I said, I don't know of another team out there that could say that they could do that in that situation with those type of players. So kudos to Lumsden, Sam, and Egar for scoring 2 runs, and the balls that they made contact with went a total of about 60 feet combined.
Joe, go ahead.
Randy, obviously you have to travel by necessity the first couple weekends of the season, but how much value is there in kind of building team chemistry and camaraderie when you go on these 4 or 5 day trips in the early portion of the schedule?
That's actually my funnest part of college baseball is traveling with the team and being in the hotel lobby with them and in the airports and on buses. And you know, I'm a relationship guy, and when you're at practice, it's hard to get to know them as much when you're at practice because you're always trying to teach them how to hit the darn ball and catch the ball. But when you have a chance to be with them in those non-practice moments, that's when you build chemistry and relationships and bonding. And you know, Braden Berry came down to see us. He's in spring training down there, so it was good to see him. And a couple other former players came to see us play. It was good to see them. So getting on the road with these guys is really helpful. And we've, ever since the portal came along, team chemistry and camaraderie has been our #1 goal. And so that was a great weekend. We had an entire day off down there on Sunday, I believe it was, because of the rain. So, and the new guys in the program kind of know what it's like now. You know, these freshmen come in here and they have no idea what they're stepping into, but now they do. So, next time they get in there, or if it's the first time they get in there, they'll know a little bit more of what to expect. So, as far as that goes, it was a really good opening weekend.
All right. Last chance for questions. Go once, twice. Okay. Thanks everybody for joining us today.